Now on this special edition of News 3.
This was not an easy decision to make.
A deafening silence along the boulevard famous for nonstop action. Las Vegas forced to dim the bright lights and shut down multi-billion-dollar resorts along with most local businesses.
If your business brings groups of people together, it should not be open.
Classrooms emptied. Teachers struggle to connect with their students through computer screens.
The parents are hurting because their kids are hurting.
Ambition suddenly put on hold for big casino companies and thousands of small business owners.
Well, the quick turnaround is that we didn't have a choice because we were all in. We had our life savings in it.
Dreams shattered as paychecks disappear. Unemployment skyrockets. Frontline medical workers are overwhelmed with COVID patients. Now, a little over a year since the darkness of a pandemic fell over the valley.
It's the light at the end of the tunnel, it's like, oh gosh, we're coming back.
And that light of recovery gets brighter by the day.
As people feel a little bit more comfortable that they can go out, they're really going to be putting places like Las Vegas at the top of their list.
As the vaccine gets into more arms, a chance to reconnect with our loved ones and neighbors. And Las Vegas appears poised for a showstopper of a comeback.
Am I excited about the future? You better believe it.
Tonight, we look at the path ahead for Las Vegas, packed with potential to be brighter than ever.
Live from the News 3 studios, you're watching Fighting for the Soul of Las Vegas.
Here, going forward, it's a great time. It's a great time for people to really take a look and find out where do they really want to see our city be.
The question we're looking into tonight, of course, that's Las Vegas Mayor Carolyn Goodman looking at the path forward to a brighter future here in Southern Nevada. It's hard to believe, but it was just 13 months ago the Las Vegas Strip went dark, locked down as the coronavirus started to spread across the U.S. and we were all told to abruptly stop our normal routines and stay home. Well, looks a whole lot brighter and feels a whole lot better tonight, doesn't it? Thank you for joining us for this News 3 special, Fighting for the Soul of Las Vegas. I'm Jim Snyder, and while we see encouraging signs all around us, it's far too early for a victory lap. Too many local families are still hurting from all the pandemic took away. Recovery will be a marathon, not a sprint, and tonight we look at the roadmap to get there.
I do feel like we're turning the corner.
As more people are getting vaccinated, I'm feeling a little more confident.
You and I are having a conversation about how we're recovering, not how fast we're declining.
Jeremy Aguero knows what makes Nevada tick. For the past quarter century, he's been taking the pulse of our community and advising government and business leaders on growth, jobs, housing, you name it, he's got a stat for it and a forecast for the future. Of course, no one can predict pandemics, but for years, Aguero diagnosed the symptoms that made our economy so sick so fast.
We remain among the least diversified economies of our size in the United States.
That means too many eggs in one basket, relying too much on the singular thing Las Vegas is known for around the world.
Gambling.
I think bright lights, 777, and alcohol.
Sin. When I think of Las Vegas, I think of parties. I think of nights you'll never remember, but times you'll never forget.
We have got to do a better job of economic development and diversification, and that doesn't mean that we abandon the core industry that got us where we are. We should have the strongest and best tourism industry anywhere on planet Earth, but at the same time, we have to develop multiple specializations. What else can we be good at?
In the near future, he predicts growing momentum for Southern Nevada's biggest job maker. Most resorts are back in business full-time, with new properties about to open, and the massive Las Vegas Convention Center just got even bigger.
You combine that with a huge amount of pent-up demand. I don't know about you, but I could use a vacation.
Hear, hear. I think we can all relate to that. And as Vegas vacations ramp back up, more jobs come back for locals. But that is a gradual, sometimes frustrating process, leaving some unemployed workers stuck on the sidelines.
If you're a casino worker that lost your job and all of a sudden you're not getting it back, what are the options available to you?
We know that is a key question for tens of thousands of you out there watching right now. 1 year later, too many locals who were furloughed or laid off are still looking for new jobs. According to Nevada's workforce data, in April of 2020, just weeks into the shutdown, more than 100,000 Nevadans in the accommodation and food services industry filed for unemployment, a staggering number. In February of this year, almost 18,000 were still relying on benefits from the state to survive. It's a struggle that Anelia Ayala knows well. She worked for MGM Resorts as an administrative assistant until she was furloughed last March, then laid off about 6 months later. She hasn't been able to find a new job that pays anything close to what she was making, so she went back to school to add to her skills and tells us there's a bigger problem at play.
Nevada is very heavily on hospitality, on visitors, on our entertainment, and if we don't have our visitors, then what do we live on? And I think we need to start thinking outside of that and creating more possibilities instead of just being okay with what we have.
Enter the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce, working to let unemployed hospitality workers like Ayala know where else they can fit in.
Even when tourism gets back to pre-pandemic levels and beyond, the next boom may not reach everyone who used to rely on the industry to bring home a paycheck.
I think some of the jobs that we lost aren't coming back.
I'm an unemployed bartender from one of the strip hotels. I'm 35 years old. This is the 15th time this has happened to me.
Hugh Anderson helps families plan for their financial future.
This is just pure frustration of watching this town get 2x4 3 times in 20 years, and I'm sick and tired of watching the most vulnerable of our population suffer through this and then think their only choice is to wait for their old job to come back.
His passion now is making sure those people know they do have options.
If you're third generation casino and you think that's the whole universe, why shouldn't you have the right to at least open the book to the other options and find out what's there for you?
That's the idea behind a new Only in Vegas resource that Anderson helped build through his work at the Las Vegas Chamber of Commerce.
There's so much more that can be made available to them if they only knew. And were given the resources to look in the mirror and say, I can do that. And what you're doing with this special, I think, is going to be critical in getting the word out that you don't have to be a prisoner to your current circumstance.
Workforce Solutions is a brand new web and phone-based guide to show you the way.
Where the future lays and where they fit into that future as compared to just finding a job. Because that's not serving them well, especially as we keep repeating this process.
Now, one challenge moving forward as we try to attract new customers with different types of jobs is, as you know, our state consistently hovers near the bottom when it comes to an educated workforce. When financial analysts at WalletHub ranked the 150 biggest metro areas on that metric, Las Vegas came in at 120. Experts say it's a cycle. People with college degrees are attracted to cities with an educated population. And according to the local organization, Educate Nevada Now, the benefits are twofold.
Certainly, having the tools and the education will help these employees, but also it helps us diversify the economy. If a business wants to come in and is looking for a specific workforce that's educated or has a skill set, we need to be able to provide that to them. And we can only do that by educating the workforce, but also the students that are coming out of our education system.
So it really starts in the classroom at the youngest grade levels. But your child's public education got some pretty low marks recently. U.S. News ranking Nevada's pre-K through 12 public schools 48th in the country. News 3's Tiffany Lane reports on how the pandemic only added to the challenges.
Las Vegas and the money that pays for a state and its people. But some say not enough of that cash is finding its way to our kids. And parents like Barbara Vesci say the pandemic is only making existing problems more pronounced.
Parents are hurting because their kids are hurting. They're falling behind.
Barbara has lived in Vegas for 35 years and doesn't like the state's year after year low rankings. We also rank low when it comes to money. It's not that we don't have it. It's that the money isn't allocated to pay for pupils like other states.
If you look at per pupil funding across the nation, Nevada ranks towards the very bottom. When you run a correlation across the United States and you look at the per pupil funding and their achievement results, there is a positive correlation.
How much lower is the funding in Nevada?
So we funded about a little over $9,000 per student. The national average is about $12,000.
That's Michelle Booth with Educate Nevada Now, a K-12 public policy organization.
That means that you cannot provide tutoring, after-school services, updated textbooks. We need around $1.8 billion to get our schools funded at the levels they need to be.
Policy experts say the power is in lawmakers' hands. They voted on a new funding formula for Nevada schools in 2019, but advocates say there are still issues.
The problem is we have a shortage of funds and we're not able to fund the formula as we had promised back in 2019.
Leaving many wondering why highly publicized marijuana money is not making a larger dent in Nevada's school budget shortfall.
Where is that money and why isn't it flooding the district right now?
Well, truthfully, it's only about $100 million a year at the state level, and so that money is going to the district.
The $100 million is a shared pot between districts statewide, and it makes up less than 5% of CCSD's budget. So where else can the money come from?
What I'm proposing is to tax alcohol, which is a major other problem in the state, and have it something similar to marijuana.
They've been looking at things like property taxes, other types of taxes.
A lot of ideas in the works. What we know is education is top of mind for Nevadans. I'm Tiffany Lane, back to you.
Coming up, the one sector of our economy that was not clobbered by COVID.
To me, it's like, how are some people that kind of like lost jobs or that are unemployed, how are they doing it?
Why experts believe our housing market stood strong through the pandemic, and will the boom last? Plus, celebrating a mix of culture in Southern Nevada.
It's not enough, and it never has been, to simply be diverse. We have to be inclusive.
How our diverse community sets the stage for a future of inclusion.
South Point Casino is on a mission, bringing in $500,000 for April Money Madness. Just play your favorite games at South Point and brace yourself for cash progressives. They could hit any machine, anytime. The big one starts at $10,000 and must hit by $25,000. When it hits, everyone playing with the club card gets $25 in free play. Plus, another free play progressive will hit by $2,500. You could be the next winner. So march on in for April Money Madness, only at South Point Casino.
Buying your first home is the start of realizing bigger dreams with your family. That's why it's important to protect everything you love with American Family Insurance. Wait, what's that?
It's their dream car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. It's actually my dream car. And my little dream tire swing with some dream trees. There'll be a nice dream garden right here too.
Protect your dream home with American Family Insurance.
Insure carefully, dream fearlessly.
We know life gets hectic. Work, kids, sports. Who could expect you to remember ice for the barbecue, diapers for the baby, or maybe it's food for the dog? Can't get to Terribles? Get Terribles to you. With all the essential items you need, complete with contactless delivery right to your doorstep. And ordering couldn't be easier with the free Terrible Social House app or online at terribleherbs.com. You got this. Can't get to Terribles? Get Terribles to you.
It's time to get back to the gym. For only $5, you can create a healthier, fitter version of you. At LVAC, you get all 7 locations 24/7, perfect for your busy schedule. Slim down or tone up with unlimited group fitness classes, hundreds of machines, expansive cardio entertainment areas, and so much more. Your journey to a healthier, fitter self starts today. It's time for a fresh start, so let us help you reach your goals. Don't forget, only $5 to start. Las Vegas Athletic Clubs.
Welcome back. While we've watched so many sectors of the local economy get hit so hard by COVID, one has been bulletproof, actually flourishing during the pandemic. News 3's Steve Wolford picks up our special report with a closer look at the booming housing market.
It's crazy. You would think that everything would just crash.
James Godman, like so many other home shoppers, is perplexed at how the Las Vegas housing market can remain so strong after a year of COVID-19 lockdowns. One reason, a record lack of inventory.
We want to have something bigger, a kitchen bigger, a backyard with a pool, and it's just not out there. And then when we find something, we're like, how is it so expensive?
Expensive because low supply and high demand have driven Las Vegas median home prices in February to just under $370,000.
I've been in the business for 15 years. I can do low market, high market. But when you don't have any inventory, it makes it tough.
Another reason the Las Vegas housing market has remained pandemic-proof: interest rates.
It's like, yes, it's gone from where it was, but it's still, if you're getting a rate in the high 2s or low 3s, that's still a really, really good rate.
Las Vegas has also become a desirable destination for out-of-state home shoppers who decided to find a more affordable place to live during the lockdowns in states like California. According to Berkshire Hathaway, Las Vegas is the #1 search city for people seeking a lower cost of living, and 18% of those searches came from Orange and Los Angeles counties. Economic expert Mike Pequeen says other financial tailwinds are at work in addition to low interest rates as Southern Nevada continues to emerge from the pandemic and return to normal.
We still have a recovering economy. We have an improving employment picture in Nevada and across the United States. And we have a lot of federal stimulus money. And all those things combined are going to make the housing market still be a pretty robust thing for the next year or so.
But there's also another card in play. At the start of the pandemic, many mortgage holders facing unemployment arranged forbearance and deferred payments with their banks. And experts say we're about to see how that's going to impact the housing market.
We know that there's shadow inventory that will be hitting the market eventually because of homes that are in forbearance. Most banks were giving people 3-month tranches all the way up to 1 year. And we're approaching that 1-year mark very fast.
But considering everything else the economy has gone through over the past year, many Nevadans are just happy the one bright spot is the roof over their heads. I'm Steve Wolford. Jim, back to you.
And with more people working from under the roof over their heads at home, Southern Nevada has seen an uptick in transplants, people crossing state lines to settle here. Nevada Policy Research Institute's Michael Schaus sees that as a promising sign.
The more people we get moving here to Nevada actually is a good thing because they bring with them new ideas, they bring with them new businesses, they bring with them, new markets for maybe businesses that already exist.
And according to Updater, the biggest relocation app in the U.S., Las Vegas is seeing a spike in people moving here from 3 specific markets: San Francisco, L.A., and Sacramento. Our city has the second highest score for net gains relative to our population size, and those gains are steadily increasing. Small business owners across Nevada took a devastating blow when they were forced to shut down for several months, and it's been an even rougher ride for those who plan to open something new during the pandemic. Even so, some seize the opportunity with a now or never approach. An example, Martino's Italian Kitchen, the family-run restaurant on Fort Apache between Warm Springs and Blue Diamond, opened last May, and the owner, Mario Morocco, tells us it was tough at first to attract customers, but it got easier, and there's a reason for that.
Probably, if I have to say what is the best thing for us, it's the community. The community really came out and said, fair play to you. You guys have opened up under these circumstances. We're going to support you, and they have.
Another example in downtown Las Vegas, just off Commerce in Colorado. 3 friends opened Cerveza Bottle Shop and Tap Room in October. They'd planned to open last February, but that was delayed with the slowdown in construction. Something co-owner Tony Martinez tells us was a blessing in disguise.
We were supposed to be opening them in Q1, so it would have been anywhere right around probably February, which would have been a nightmare for us had it actually happened.
Is it a leap of faith then?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, anytime you're opening up a business, it is. Then you add this whole pandemic in it. It's a different situation. It's an interesting situation to say the least.
And one more story in this series for you. The doctor behind this new spinal center near Windmill and Spencer in the South Valley planned to open last January, but Dr. Vladimir Sinkov didn't start seeing patients until June 1st because of the struggle to find basic medical supplies to start the practice.
It was tough. I mean,
like in around March, this is the time that we're going to start purchasing our supplies, paper towels, table liners, the exam tables, everything. And all of a sudden, all the medical supply companies were out of everything, and everything, we had to run around pharmacies finding hand sanitizers and wipes to wipe the counters and exam beds.
You'll remember that was a challenge for thousands of business owners and families here and across the country. But the Resilient forged ahead during an uncertain and unforgiving time, and many came out better than they expected. We know the pandemic hit some local communities harder than others. The racial makeup of our population here in Southern Nevada sets us apart for now, but not for long. A critical analysis of the 2017 census data predicts the entire U.S. will look more like Las Vegas soon. Marie Mortera asked our Black, Asian, Latino, and Native American neighbors for their thoughts on what lies ahead.
Jocelyn Jackson, Las Vegas culinary activist, expresses social justice through work like this. Her installation, Fixed Price Menu, her message against police brutality. On Las Vegas's diversity, she calls it beautiful, but
it is also important for diversity to be couched in inclusivity, in equity, and all these other pieces of justice. It's not enough, and it never has been, to simply be diverse. We have to be inclusive. We have to be intersectional. That's the only way that we can get to a place of belonging within each of our identities.
Taylor Patterson, Executive Director of Native Voters Alliance Nevada, applauding what she calls a new chapter with Interior Secretary Deb Haaland and support of the proposed Avikwame National Monument Site, sacred land to Native American tribes.
There's always been this adversary relationship between the two, and with having Deb Haaland in, we have somebody that has those lived-in experiences that we have, that understands the need for balance. It's such a magical and special time to be in right now, because I see so many people of my generation and younger that are really coming up and fighting for their place at the political table, the healthcare table.
Yeah, I've been here a long time, and I've watched the Latino community just explode in terms of businesses and success.
That's because of the Latino community's entrepreneurial spirit, says Peter Guzman, president of the Latin Chamber of Commerce. He also looks to the youth and their crucial cultural connections.
The bottom line is that the Latino culture is one of working hard, very family oriented, being together, taking care of each other.
Ayrton Yamaguchi, one of 4 UNLV students, conducting nearly 200 interviews for the university's Reflections, the Las Vegas Asian American and Pacific Islander Oral History Project. This project is personal.
So I identify as Hawaiian, Japanese, Chinese, Portuguese, Spanish, and Filipino. I do remember my little Filipino dishes, my adobo my mom used to make, but I still really connect with lau lau and poi as some of my native Hawaiian staples. So I have a lot of different ethnicities that make me up, and it's truly what makes me who I am.
Their voices, part of the ongoing discussion on what living in Las Vegas looks like, feels like, and the hope for tomorrow. Back to you.
Still ahead, Southern Nevada building momentum to bounce back.
We consider Las Vegas to be our second home, and look forward to coming back and helping the city, the whole community.
From tourists to trade shows, how Las Vegas is getting the message out that we're back open for business.
Don't miss 3 exceptional episodes of Wednesday's most watched dramas.
No, she's crashing.
You can't do that without a doctor's order.
What were you thinking? He could fire you. He was pushed down those steps.
Your victim's in danger. I'm not going anywhere, Haley. I want to be with you. I love you.
An all-new Chicago Wednesday, tonight on NBC.
You've been in an accident. Call Bernstein and Poisson today. We'll work on getting you a strong settlement fast. Bernstein and Poisson, protecting your rights.
With Health Plan of Nevada's Medicaid plan, you're covered. We're local and care about our community. We have a whole team of people ready to help you get the coverage you need and benefits you deserve. Day or night, we're here for you with 24/7 virtual visits and our 24/7 advice nurse. Taking care of Nevadans is what we do. Health Plan of Nevada's Medicaid plan. Your health plan. Simple. Visit choosehpn.com to learn more. That's choosehpn.com.
At Drive Time, you can save $1,000 on average on your down payment. Do you need a car?
Yes, and I love saving money.
We know, and when you get approved to get a car at DriveTime.com, we'll show you your real down payment.
But how real is the real down payment?
Oh, it's real. As real as this puppy.
Oh, come on. That's too cute to be real.
He is real. As real as your down payment at DriveTime.com. It's really, really real.
I love him so much.
Go to DriveTime.com, get approved, and see your real down payment in 2 minutes. Drive Time. Genius.
You've been in an accident. Nothing prepared you for this life-changing event. Call Bernstein and Poisson and we'll fight for you. Bernstein and Poisson, protecting your rights.
There's no doubt that Las Vegas knows how to rise from the ashes. Lawmakers and locals are working on new ways to make that happen. The Hospitality and Job Recovery Act is being considered in Congress right now. If it passes, it'll provide extra incentives for conventions and trade shows and even individuals to come to Las Vegas to do their business. There'll also be tax credits for restaurants and businesses as they reopen to full capacity. And as capacity restrictions ease, many convention and event organizers are setting their sights on a return to Las Vegas. Barrett-Jackson's annual car auction kicks off June 17th at the Las Vegas Convention Center's West Hall. It's one of the first major events returning to the Strip in more than a year. A 1.4 million square foot space will allow people to spread out while they gather together and check out the cool rides. Here's CEO Craig Jackson on how technology is helping to safely monitor crowds.
We put 140 cameras up in the ceilings that watch everything, and the city, the state, Department of Public Safety watch them too. So we're all in communication for how do we move people safely around the venue. And the goal is to show everybody that Las Vegas is opened up again. It's safe to come back to Las Vegas. Come and enjoy yourself. And that's why we picked Las Vegas originally.
The Barrett-Jackson's annual car auction will be the first public event to be held at the newly expanded convention center. If you want to check it out, it runs from June 17th through the 19th. The Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority helping our city gear up for its grand return.
And now that the health situation has improved so significantly and looks to really be able to put this pandemic in the rearview mirror in a few months, I think we're going to see a real resurgence of this city.
Approved the return of the Life is Beautiful Festival in September, voted to go ahead with the Downtown Rocks concert series from May through October. That'll be at the Fremont Street Experience. A big takeaway here, Las Vegas didn't stop building a new era of tourism during the pandemic, and it's more than ready to bounce back. We want to hear your thoughts about how Las Vegas can come back better than ever. Send your ideas to news3lv.com. I can tell you, I've personally been cheering for this community from this studio for 30 years now, and have watched it happen over and over. Every time we go through a challenge, we come back better than ever, Vegas strong. We thank you for joining us for this special newscast fighting for the soul of Las Vegas, and we'll see you later on tonight.